Okay, good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining me once again for this edition of Talkin' Teeth with Dr. J. So it's just myself solo tonight. The last two, we've had guests join us. And so I've been wanting to do this presentation for a little while now. So I decided tonight was the night. And I had some fun putting this one together for you guys. So I hope you enjoy. I'm going to try not to be too long going through it, but there is a lot of information to cover. So we will do our questions at the end. And excuse me for just having to let people in as they come in. And I'm going to mute everybody. Okay, so today we're talking about preventing cavities. And where are we here? Cavities are kind of like the beginning of the dental journey for a lot of patients, and we'll get into that. But before I start, I just want to set the tone a little bit. There's going to be a lot of information that I cover, and this isn't meant to be like a how-to manual or an instruction manual where you just take everything I say and implement it in your life or your kid's life. I'm trying to just give you a bunch of valuable information and education to empower you to take control of you and your family's health. So just keep that in mind as I'm going through. It's not a one-size-fits-all guide, and it doesn't constitute personalized medical advice. Okay. There's Jason. Hey, Jason. I've got everyone muted, so I'll say hello after. Hey, buddy. Okay. So I've just got my overall types of dental disease here, and this one is we're just going to be talking about the first item here. So it's degeneration of teeth, aka tooth decay, also known as cavities or dental caries. You might hear all of these terms. They mean the same thing. The only thing to be aware of, I gotta like multitask here and let people in as I'm trying to talk. Okay. You might see the word cavitation, and that's down here. That's something different than a dental cavity or tooth decay. So just keep that in mind. You'll see that word floating around. And so when we're talking about cavities, it's actually like holes in teeth, okay, that ideally wouldn't be there. So that's what we're going to talk about today and how to help prevent. So do you guys want to just give me a thumbs up that you can hear okay and okay, that you see the slides? Perfect. So this is a severe case of tooth decay, but it's nice to show an extreme example every now and then so that it hammers the point home. So when we talk about decay, it's really another term for rotting. So the teeth get to a state where they're just decomposing in the mouth. And it's similar to when you have like a piece of fruit on your counter that's maybe sat there for too long and it starts to rot. And it's actually very similar how it happens on teeth to something like an apple. So it usually starts in one spot and then it spreads. So if we look at these red arrows on this here, you can see little shadows in between the teeth on the x-rays, and it's the same shape as you see on the apple. And it generally just spreads and continues to progress inside the tooth. And on the left here, the image you see is a cavity preparation that we do as a dentist, where we have to go in to access the area that's being decayed, and then we have to clean it out. And then when you have a filling is when it fills back up. So what I want to illustrate here is just how much healthy tooth structure that we have to take away in order to get to that area that's decayed. You have to take away more than just the area with the cavity. You lose a lot of healthy tooth enamel when a dentist has to intervene and go in and fix a tooth. All right, so another way to think of this tooth decay process is demineralization and remineralization, and we'll get into that in a little more detail after. But when things in your mouth are not in balance and they're shifting more towards the side of demineralization, the minerals from the teeth are leaching out and the teeth are getting softer. And you might have heard people like in common passing say, oh, I just have soft teeth. You know, my parents had soft teeth, all of that. Well, teeth are dynamic and they're not predetermined to be hard or soft. They can gain minerals, which is what we call remineralization, and then they can lose minerals. And when they lose minerals, they do get softer, and then that's where these areas of cavities or tooth decay or caries, that's where it occurs. So the old way of thinking, and probably everybody is familiar with this, this is what I learned in dental school, and I've only been out of school for 10 years, so it's still what's being taught in dental schools today, is just very simple. You've got bacteria, and when the bacteria get sugar, they make acid, and then the acid being released from the bacteria erodes holes into the side of your tooth. And so you can kind of see in this image over here, you've got the bacteria there, and then as you feed the bacteria sugar, the bacteria eat the sugar, and then their waste product is acid, usually lactic acid, and then the acid dissolves the tooth structure. Now, that's not wrong. That still is the case, but it's not that simple. And the problem with this line of thinking is that it makes us think in this germ theory paradigm where we just want to kill everything. So we think, oh, there's bacteria in our mouth that are causing problems in our teeth. Let's just do what we need to do to kill that bacteria, and then we won't have this problem of cavities anymore. And so that's really what a lot of the remedies over the years have been. Like, you think of something like Listerine, which is a pretty harsh mouthwash. It's designed just to kill bacteria. And sorry, one more person to let, oh, that's Kelly. Nice. Okay, so the problem is our bodies are not sterile environments. We live in harmony with, thousands of different species of bacteria all the time. And so this idea where we're just gonna sterilize our environment and live healthy is not actually a good plan. And so when we take that approach, we end up disrupting our healthy bacteria as well, and then creating all kinds of imbalances in our oral microbiome and even in our gut microbiome. So that's the goal of this presentation, is to try to shift us away from this old paradigm where we don't think about let's just kill everything and hope to prevent cavities that way. Let's see how we can foster a healthy environment and then not get tooth decay, because it's not normal to get tooth decay, and we'll go over that. So we're back to this idea of demineralization versus remineralization. And so on the left side, these are all different kinds of things that cause this demineralization that we see in teeth. So one of the things is acidity. So you may have heard before things like energy drinks, or like lemon water, or even pop or soda. It's all very acidic, and so it's not only the sugar that leads to cavities, it's the actual acidity. It demineralizes or leaches minerals from your enamel on your teeth, contributing to cavity formation. Same thing if we're depleted in minerals. We're going to talk about that. Teeth are a storage of minerals, and so if we're not getting enough minerals, then they kind of leach out of our teeth to help meet the metabolic needs of our body. Frequent snacking. So when you're always eating, your saliva never gets a chance to balance things out in your mouth again. Poor oral hygiene, so just not cleaning your teeth properly can contribute to this problem. Bad saliva, so we see that a lot with people who are on a lot of pharmaceutical medications. Mouth breathing is kind of connected to that. So when you mouth breathe, your mouth gets dry, and then your saliva is not able to mineralize or remineralize your teeth. And then just overall poor sleep and stress, just unhealthy life habits, increase the load on our body, increase our demand for minerals, and just can drain us overall. On the other side, remineralization, we have a balanced pH, so not too acidic in the mouth. If we have balanced minerals, a healthy diet, good oral hygiene, healthy saliva, nose breathing, good sleep, low stress. And then there's some tools that we'll talk about, like xylitol and hydroxyapatite. And those are also helpful in helping remineralize our teeth. So this is kind of how I wanted to contextualize things tonight without making them too complicated. It's just this sliding scale. Well, we want to be over on the right, and then if we're there, we're not going to get cavities. If the balance is shifted more on the left towards demineralization, then that's where the problems start to occur. So I want you to keep in mind through this presentation that a healthy body is immune to tooth decay. So like if we go back, that's all these things over here. If you're generally on the left side of this diagram, then you're going to be in pretty good health. You're not going to have tooth decay. This saying was from one of my mentors, Dr. Dominic Nischwitz, and he actually created a toothpaste that I'll tell you guys about later to help with this problem. But, you know, if we think about animals in nature, they don't really get cavities, they don't get tooth decay. The only real animals that get tooth decay are humans and our pets. And so there's some common threads there. I've heard that honey bears, like that bears that eat honey, get cavities, and I haven't confirmed if that's true or not. I would bet that it's not true, but yeah, like it's not a normal thing to get cavities, okay? So when I like to share this slide here, this is the tooth death cycle. So it starts out over here where you have a healthy tooth and then it gets a little cavity. I already showed you how much tooth we have to take away in order to fix a cavity. And so teeth, once they've had that much material taken away, they tend to get weak. They can get cracks. Then you need things like crowns, maybe even root canals. And then at some point you're having teeth pulled, and then you're talking about implants. But it all starts with just a simple cavity. So if we can intervene right here and prevent this from happening at all in the first place, then you save yourself or your kid a lifetime of dental trouble. So I treat people in this stage. That's what I do, and my goal is to help people not need me. You know, how nice would that be? So I want to remind you that the best dentistry is absolutely no dentistry at all. And so that's what we're really talking about in that last slide there, is we want to prevent all these problems from happening before they happen. It's that saying, an ounce of prevention is a pound of cure. And yeah, what else did I want to say on that? I guess it might seem impossible because it's so common to get cavities, and maybe you're sitting there and you've had so many, but I think with the right tools and the right strategy, it is possible. Let's say you have a young kid and you're starting out. It's possible, even without being absolutely perfect, that your kid can grow up and never have a cavity in their life. And I've actually personally never had a cavity in my life, and I'm by no means perfect in what I eat and what I do. So, and haven't been my entire life. So I think if we figure out the right balance, you know, you can help your kids just have a life that's pretty free of need for a dentist. I did have a tooth pulled and an implant and everything, but that's a different story. So we're just going to go over again some of the causes of dental decay. So processed food is a big one. That's kind of what I was saying, how animals in the wild, and even I'll show you humans before Industrial Revolution, never really got tooth decay. And so processed food, I think, is a really big part of it. Refined carbohydrates, so like crackers, chips, sticky foods like that. We'll talk more about that after. And then I like to focus on toxicities and deficiencies. That's a central theme of what I view as being how to achieve optimal health, is identify what are the sources of toxicity there might be, and then address any deficiencies. Some of you may be familiar with what happens to women during pregnancy. I've seen many, many women who never had a cavity in their life, and then they have a baby, and then they come back for a checkup and they've got like 8 cavities or 10 cavities or something like that. And it's really interesting because, why did this happen? My thinking and theory on it is because pregnancy, you give so much to the growing baby, a pregnant mother, and it can be very depleting, right? And I've heard mothers say, I'm depleted, and I think maybe a lot of people can relate to this. So teeth, when you're depleted in minerals, teeth start to leach minerals, and it's that demineralization, right? So I think that's a central theme here. And then eating habits. So grazing, snacking, and just contributing to overall acidity. We like to tell people, if you're going to drink something that maybe isn't the best for your teeth, you're way better off drinking it over like 10 minutes than sipping it for an hour or two. It's a duration problem just as much as it's a substance problem. So if you're going to have the sugary drink or the treat or whatever it is, you want to do it in a shorter amount of time, because the sugar and the acid is going to have less time on your teeth to actually cause the damage. And rinsing afterwards, you don't have to go brush. Some people get a little bit like overzealous with the toothbrush. I don't think anybody really needs to brush more than twice a day. If you like to brush more, that's fine. But I think getting in the habit of just rinsing your mouth out after you eat anything is more than enough in between brushing. And then there's the whole issue with saliva, microbiome. We kind of talked about that already. And then mouth breathing, we talked about that. So if I could ban one food, I'm going to give you guys, I'm going to unmute. Maybe you can unmute yourself. Can anyone guess what's the one food that I would ban?
Goldfish.
Yes. How did you know that? Have you heard me say that before?
Yeah, maybe.
Yes.
You told us not to give it to the kids, and we don't.
Well, thank you for the audience engagement.
Of course. We're listening, buddy. Kristen's here too. We're both listening.
So yeah, this is like one of the most common snacks that people give their kids. And you see parents just fill a bowl up with these, stick their kid in front of the TV, and they just go to town. These things cause more cavities than anything I can imagine. So don't go with the goldfish crackers. Healthy snacks for kids, you could do like apple slices and cheese. You can do veggie sticks, hummus, that kind of stuff. I'm sure some of you have better ideas than I do for kids' snacks. But when you're thinking of something like goldfish crackers or anything like crackers, chips, it's dry. So anything that's dry is really sticky. You can imagine when you've had anything like that, it just gets jammed in your teeth and it's really hard to clean out. Like you can't get it out with your tongue or even rinsing. And so they just stay caked on there for the whole day. And so it's why it's such a problem for causing cavities with kids. All right, so this is what you see on some kids. They open their mouth and you see these black holes in their molars. Here's this kind of trap that families and parents fall into, where they have their kids eat in front of the TV, or their kids want to eat in front of the TV, and you're exhausted, so you let them. I really advocate for not getting into this falling into this trap, as it's probably hard to get out of once you fall into it. I I don't like this because it prolongs the eating window over too long. They might be watching a show for half an hour or something, and they're just nibbling on whatever food it is they have while they're hypnotized by the TV. I really recommend just having organized snack times where it's like, okay, you're having a snack, you're going to sit down at the table, eat your snack, and then when you're done, then you can go and play or do whatever or watch your show or do whatever you're going to do. I just think this habit of eating in front of the TV for kids leads to a lot of problems that are easily avoidable. So here's a little picture just of what I just said. Any kinds of sugary drinks, juices, pop, they're just gonna not help the situation if we're trying to prevent cavities. I think drinking your calories is generally not the best idea, especially these really high sugary drinks. They also contribute to more acidity in the mouth. That being said, let's say they're going to have a treat and they're going to have a pop or a juice or whatever. That's fine. What you want to do is never brush within 30 minutes of eating anything like that, because the acidity, it softens the teeth. You're going to be over in the demineralized state. Then you go right there with a toothbrush and you brush, and you can actually strip enamel off the teeth while it's in the softer state. If you wait half an hour, the saliva balances things out again, and then the teeth can actually remineralize and harden in that 30-minute period. So all I recommend after snacks and drinks and stuff like that is get in the habit as a family. Once the snack's done, send the kids to the bathroom to rinse their mouth out really vigorously, okay? And then, just as much as you can, just water for drinking, like not too much else. Maybe like coconut water or something like that is a nice alternative. We have this card that we give out to patients in the clinic. It's a nice little snack guide for kids. So over on the left here, you have the types of snacks that are not so, prone to cause cavities. You have these yellow ones, which are kind of in the middle, not so bad. It says here, usually won't cause cavities. And then you have these ones that are big time culprits. The general rule is fresh bread and fresh fruit are fine. The reason they're fine is because they're not sticky. Dried bread, so like a cracker, or dried fruit, they're going to be in this red area over here, and that's because they stick to the teeth, and so they're just stuck on there for longer, and they can cause damage. This came from this book that I found years and years ago. This dentist had his own kids. His kids got cavities, so he took it upon himself to research this and write this book to help other families help their kids avoid getting cavities. So it's called More Chocolate, No Cavities. Some other nice ideas for healthy snacks. So you can make an amazing healthy ice cream if you have a really good blender like a Vitamix. You take frozen bananas and dash of coconut water, and that's all you need, really. That's like the plain one, and it's so delicious. I'm probably going to have that tonight. You can add peanut butter, you can add chocolate, you can add coconut flakes, almond slices, whatever you want, and you can make some really delicious desserts. And I think kids would really like it too. And then there's like homemade popsicles and that stuff. This stuff can be pretty easy to do, and it a little bit goes a long way with just having healthier options for your kids, and then helping them not run into some of these problems that most kids unfortunately run into these days, getting cavities and having to suffer through these dental treatments. It's really not fun as a dentist trying to do cavities or fillings on like a 4-year-old child. We'd rather not do it, as like, as much as dentist businesses depend on that kind of stuff, we'd rather not do dental work on 4 or 5-year-old kids. Okay, so we've got this other issue that many of you are probably aware of, where there's mineral depletion of the soils over the last 100 years with all the different wonderful types of agriculture we've introduced. So just food today is not as nutritious as it used to be. So you'd have to eat like, 20 apples to get the same amount of iron that you would have from one apple in 1950, for example. So it's just, I don't like to dwell on this stuff too much because I don't think this is like too problematic. I think we can solve these problems quite easily. In general, I'm overall not like such a big fan of just long-term, indefinite supplementation, but it is good to be aware of like what different kind of options are out there. So the guy I told you about before, Dr. Dominic Nischwitz, the one I trained a lot with, he came out with, some of these different products to help people with these problems. He's got 4 kids himself. His kids even got cavities. So he developed this supplement called Tooth Shield. And so it's got a lot of minerals and vitamins that can help with tooth mineralization. Vitamin D3, K2, it's kind of a can of worms. Again, I'm not really a big fan of long-term indefinite supplementation of D3, K2. I'd much rather see, people or myself get it from the sun. It's not possible to get enough sun in the winter. So, you could take a vitamin D with a K2 supplement, or you could use something like this, like a UVB vitamin D lamp. This is what I'm using now. This is a mineral supplement that I take now. I'll share a little bit about it, in a bit. And then I'm actually really liking using topical magnesium now. A lot of people are taking magnesium supplements. I think it's good. Magnesium, it absorbs best through the skin. So it's just a nice option to have there, and then you're not taking so many pills. So the essential minerals, sodium, we just get that from salt. It's nice to have a good salt. People used to love the Celtic or Celtic sea salt. There can be some problems with some contamination. I think it was too much lead or something like that in that. So there's always, when you get into this health world, nothing's ever definite. You always find out later that something you believed in strongly before maybe isn't so good. So if you're new to this, welcome to the world of health. And for salt, there's one called Baja Gold salt. That one's good. I like. There's Redmond salt. I don't like Himalayan salt. A lot of people think that's healthy. I used to as well. It's actually just a rusting oxidization process that happens from impurities from inside the salt. So that red color is just rusting. It's the same thing that happens of rusting of metals, or when you see red rocks, if you're ever in those parts of the world, it's just a oxidization. So I would stay away from Himalayan salt. You can get just like a really clean, basic sea salt. If it's really white in color, then it shouldn't have impurities in it. Calcium is important, but people think they need to take calcium. Maybe some people could benefit from taking calcium, but most I don't think need to. So you should be able to get enough calcium from food, and if you have like mineral water, and then it's actually your vitamin D level, which if you're really good about getting enough sun and UVB and maybe a vitamin D supplement, then you're going to absorb more calcium. So calcium itself, it's not necessarily a problem of not having enough of it in the diet. It's just that if our body's not optimized, then we don't absorb it. Magnesium, we already talked about topical magnesium. You can do a magnesium bath. Potassium is really important. So you can get a lot of potassium from food, from bananas, potatoes, coconut water. There's also something interesting. There's 50-50 salt, which was typically made for people trying to lower their sodium intake, but it's half sodium chloride, half potassium chloride. So it's actually a good way to get some potassium if you use some 50-50 salt every now and then. And then zinc is really important. So we get zinc naturally from red meat. It's usually not enough because of this soil depletion issue. So personally, zinc is one of the things that I supplement with. And then we need selenium. You've always heard that Brazil nuts are a really good source of selenium. I've heard recently that even them don't have enough selenium in them now. So also it's something that I supplement. And then molybdenum, it's another one. It's really hard to get, and I supplement it with that. So what I do, I just do zinc, selenium, molybdenum, and then the magnesium cream, and everything else I get from food. Okay, so just because it's common to get cavities doesn't mean that it's normal. So that's what I want you to just ruminate on for a little bit. It's become so, all these diseases, cancer, diabetes, obesity, all these things are common these days. It doesn't mean that it's normal. It means that something is wrong with our environment and we're getting sick, and it's not just a fluke. So cavities are the same. I want you to look at getting cavities as a systemic health issue. If you're having this problem, it speaks to something deeper going on in your body systemically. Now, the good news is that there's things you can do about it. You're not just a victim to this and you're doomed for the rest of your life and you're always going to get cavities. I think most people, if they do the right things, they can actually overcome this problem. And it all lines up with just normal, healthy things. And so having good overall health means you're going to have good oral health. It goes back and forth. They're interchangeable. It's interesting to look at the work of Dr. Weston Price. He was a dentist and he traveled the world and he went and visited all these indigenous groups from around the world. 100 years ago, when he did this work, there were a lot more of these different groups around the world. They're harder to find now. There's not so many of them because people have kind of went for the modern conveniences and luxuries of industrialization. But the interesting thing he found was with all these traditional people, they had no dental disease. You can see like they had very wide faces, spacing between their teeth, no cavities, no problems. And then what happened was white sugar, white flour, I guess you could say like just salt and everything, just the processed food came in and it totally changed the environment. And then within one generation, so the kids and the grandkids of the people who had no dental issues started to show a lot of these issues that we see, so common in the Western world. So crowded teeth, dental decay, and all these lovely things that we deal with today. So just a quick rundown of solutions, and then we'll go through some more stuff. Healthy lifestyle, eat real food, so not processed food. And then, 2 to 5 meals per day, including snacks. That's getting away from the whole snacking, grazing thing that can be such a problem, right? And so, like I said, organized meal times where you sit down, you eat what you're going to eat, you rinse your mouth, and then you move on with your day. So don't spend the whole day eating, and especially important for kids. Getting optimized sleep is really important. Circadian rhythm stuff we'll talk about just a bit. Stress management. These things all deplete your minerals if you're not getting them right. Then we already talked about supplementing minerals, good sea salt. There's something called Shilajit. I was doing this a lot. It's like you can make a tea with it. It's got a lot of minerals in it. I'm currently not doing it. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just personally with my own health goals, I'm kind of limiting all these extra things that I'm taking, or I was taking. And then vitamin D for calcium absorption, but ideally from sunlight and UVB, supplement might be helpful in certain cases. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of just taking these things forever. Vitamin K2 and magnesium are also important for that whole calcium metabolism. I've got documents on all this kind of stuff. I'm going to put them on the Talkin Teeth website so that they're available for everybody to go on there and download. Coconut oil pulling is helpful. We talked about mouthwash at the beginning, how something like Listerine, which just kills your healthy bacteria too, isn't so good. So the healthy alternative to mouthwash is coconut oil pulling. We'll talk about that. And then good oral hygiene. So you can do tongue scraping, electric toothbrush, water flosser, and then xylitol hydroxyapatite toothpaste. And then we'll talk about iodine. There's the whole mouth breathing thing that I mentioned. So myofunctional therapy, this was actually the topic of our last Talkin' Teeth a month ago with Alex Clinton. And so that's a whole other topic about, facial development and proper breathing technique and all of that, but just something good to be aware of. Talk about just nutrition briefly. This isn't a nutrition talk, but we're talking about how to optimize your overall health so that you don't get cavities. So nutrition is an inherent part of that conversation. Like I said before, eating real food, like not processed food, that's a big pillar. But there's this problem that I think is really widespread, which is just overall toxicity. And so this is kind of this low toxin diet that I'm actually personally following this right now, trying to detox my own system. And so if someone's really got a lot of toxicity, and signs of that would be like you get sick all the time. Getting sick is your body's natural way of detoxing. Same thing if you have kids and your kids get sick a lot. A lot of kids are born jaundiced, and it means that there's bile backing up. The bile's not getting out of the liver into the small intestine. It's going back into the blood, and bile is yellow. That's why a jaundiced baby is yellow. That means that baby is already loaded with toxins at birth, and unfortunately it gets passed on from the mother. And so, you can do all of these other things right, but if you have a lot of toxicity in your system, it's going to affect your saliva. Your saliva is going to be more acidic, and then you might have more dental problems because of it. So the reason I put this up here, and the biggest one is beef. Interestingly, if we think about nutrition, we always like to think of, we need all these different things and we need to eat a variety of all these different foods to get enough nutrition. I think we might need to reconsider that, because now we've had these like all muscle meat carnivores out there, like Dr. Sean Baker, who, for like 10 years or more has been eating like pretty much only steak, and like doesn't even eat organs, just eats steak, and he doesn't take any supplements, and he's, quite healthy. Maybe there could be some discussion of maybe some issues, which we can talk about a bit. But I think we can get most of the nutrients we need from just beef. Now, I'm not saying that's all you should eat. I think there's other important things that we can include in our diet as well. But I don't think we need to eat such a wide variety to meet our nutritional needs. So I hope that point gets across. I'm a fan of leaner meats, because just like humans do, humans store their toxins in fat. Animals also store their toxins in fat. So if you have a really fatty piece of beef, for example, you're just getting more toxins. And there's no such thing as really low fat beef. Like even lean ground beef still has quite a lot of fat in it. So, but yeah, then, chicken, turkey, all the other like red meats like elk, deer, bison, all that stuff, that's all good as well. The thing that the all meat, like the carnivore people, are missing is they don't get any fiber in their diet. And so we've got certain bacteria in our microbiome called bifida bacteria. They live on fiber. If we don't have fiber, they all die off. And then we can't even digest fiber again if all those bacteria die off. So you have a lot of carnivore type people who do okay, but then if they have one little thing like an apple or something, like it makes them sick, or they're in bed, or they don't feel good. So that's where I think the carnivore diet falls short, is that it's not the best for the microbiome. And then the other thing is, without fiber, you don't bind toxins and you don't pass them. So that's where some of these other foods come in. So like apples are really good for fiber, pears, oats are really good, beans are really good for fiber, barley. Barley's amazing. I just started eating it recently. My wife's been making this amazing beef and barley soup. It's so good. So yeah, these are some of the things you can use to get fiber. And then all the veggies and the fruits and everything I put here, it's kind of on this low toxin theme. So you might notice everything is very light in color and bland. And that's because a lot of these like deeply colored vegetables or fruits, like dark leafy greens and peppers and sweet potatoes and all that, they've got a lot of good things in them, but they've got some toxins in them too. So I'm not saying like everyone has to eat like this. I'm just presenting this to you as an option of something you can look into if you think maybe toxicity is part of the problem that you or someone you know might be having. I learned all this from Dr. Garrett Smith. He has something called the Love Your Liver program. And so if you want to learn more about this stuff, I would recommend checking out his work. He has a podcast called Nutrition Detective. A good one to start with is episode 222. That one's a really good one. What else do I have in here that I want to comment on? Bananas, we talked about. Bananas are great. Figs, kiwis, pineapple, cauliflower. It's like a light colored cruciferous vegetable. So if you're going to want something like that, I would prefer that as being a little lower toxin than something like broccoli. Green grapes, cucumber, celery. Make sure you peel cucumber, and really like kiwis or anything like that. You know, even if the skin is technically edible, a lot of the toxins are going to be in the skin, including a lot of the stuff that maybe they treated the food with. They maybe sprayed with something. Obviously, it goes without saying, choose organic if you can, grass-fed, sort of pasture-raised meats, all that good stuff that I'm sure you're already well aware of. This is my favorite rice. So it's called Lotus, and it's been tested. It's got the least amount of toxins. Rice can have like arsenic and stuff. So I really love this rice. This pasta, if you want to eat pasta and grains, that's cool. Just be aware that the grains in North America, they are bastardized. They get fortified. They add a bunch of crap to it that we don't want. It gets mandated into law that they've got to add all this stuff, these vitamins or minerals or whatever to help us. But I think it's more of a problem than beneficial. So pasta, for example, from Italy, if you buy this brand, La Molisana, they don't fortify, they don't mess with the wheat over there. And even a lot of people who have issues with gluten and stuff, they can eat the wheat from Italy, for example. This flour, it's called Better Basics. It's from out west in Canada. They grow and mill their own flour, and I recently contacted them to see if they add anything like niacin or any folic acid or anything like that, and they assured me that they don't add anything. So if you want to like have bread and everything, maybe that's something to consider, is get into like making your own like sourdough bread. You know, kids love it too, and that's a healthier option, and it's kind of on this low toxin theme. Down here I have fennel. If you don't know what that is, fennel's really tasty, good in salads. Lettuces like iceberg lettuce, romaine, like light colored lettuces are great. This is the best coconut water in the world. If you haven't tried it, definitely try it. They have it at Healthy Planet, probably other places too. It's like the best thing you'll ever taste. Then mineral water. This is like still, mineral water. Like if we're doing just like reverse osmosis or distilled water and stuff, we get no minerals. So it's nice to get some nice spring water that has some minerals in it. That's where you can get a little bit of calcium and stuff too. I've got this whole detoxification guide that I just put together. not part of this presentation, but just like to make people aware of it. I've got guides on tech, being smart with your technology. This is a friend and colleague of mine, Dr. Leland Stillman, put together this whole guide for like improving your circadian rhythm, not getting too much interference from screens, having the right kind of light bulbs, being careful with the EMFs coming from our phones and our Wi-Fi routers, getting out in the sun, all this good stuff, grounding. This is all just helping our cells, our mitochondria, improving our biology, helping us be healthier, and just putting us in that category where we just don't have health problems, including tooth decay. So I have this available as well. It's on my Canada Biohealth website, so canadabiohealth.com, and then there's a resource page, patient downloads. You'll find this guide there along with some other ones. Okay. My number one tip for preventing cavities. Let's see if anyone has any guesses. Unmute yourself. Did we lose everybody?
Rinse your mouth out after eating.
Man, people are going to think I gave you the answers.
I knew it.
Yeah.
I'm a good listener, active listener over here.
So, okay. People like to get fancy. What can I do? What products can I use? How many times do I have to brush my teeth, floss? The best thing everyone can get in the habit of doing is just rinsing your mouth after you eat or drink. And like when I say rinse, I mean like go to the sink, fill your mouth with water, swish it around, vigorously use your tongue, get all the stuff out of there, and it'll save you a world of problems. So kids especially, just every time your kids eat, did you go rinse your mouth? Okay. Now we'll get into more nitty gritty about like the whole oral hygiene routine. So first thing, this is not going to be, not all this stuff is going to be, I don't even do all this stuff, but let's say you wanted to implement a bulletproof oral hygiene routine. This is what it would look like. Okay. Maybe you're somebody, you struggle, you get cavities, you want to know what you can do. I would say do all these things. So when you first wake up, tongue scraper. Over the course of the night, you'll get this like film, just biofilm on your tongue. So you go over to the bathroom, use one of those tongue scrapers and just scrape your tongue. Copper tongue scrapers were like, touted to be the best. And they help your microbiome release nitric oxide and everything. I'm a little bit concerned about copper these days, and I think it's one of these things that there's too much of, and a lot of us have too much copper. So, you might not want to use a copper tongue scraper. Just be aware of that. And then before breakfast, coconut oil pulling, so extra virgin coconut oil, and then you swish it. You take just like a teaspoon even, don't take too much. And then you swish it around in your mouth. You can do 5 minutes minimum, maybe 10 minutes. And you just, while you're, emptying the dishwasher or maybe doing dishes or getting your breakfast ready or packing your lunch for the day, you just do that. It's a good thing. Your hands are free. And if someone in your house is trying to talk to you, you just turn to them, point to your mouth, and then you don't have to talk to them. So it's great. Then you spit it out in the garbage, because it will harden and clog up your sink. So that's coconut oil pulling. And then, have your breakfast 30 minutes after breakfast. Remember that 30 minutes we talked about before? So don't brush your teeth right away after you eat, right? But 30 minutes after breakfast, brush your teeth with a xylitol or hydroxyapatite toothpaste and electric toothbrush. Again, this is for someone who struggles with getting cavities. I sometimes use one of these toothpastes. I don't always. I use sometimes just like a natural toothpaste because I don't get cavities. So electric toothbrush. Sonicare is a great toothbrush. There's some cool like red light toothbrushes you can try too if you're into that sort of thing, but it's not necessary. Also, when you brush your teeth, it's people brush their teeth too hard, almost across the board. Every time I see patients and I ask them to show me, if your toothbrush gets frayed and like all mangled looking after a couple of months, you are brushing too hard. So especially if you use an electric toothbrush, you do not push on your teeth. You just hold it there and the brush does the work. Okay. If you use a manual, most people don't do a good enough job with a manual. Electric's probably going to be better for you. But if you do like to use a manual, very gentle, light pressure. It's not this scrubbing motion that people do. Very gentle, and you can just go in like a circular motion, just brush up from the gum. Okay, during the day, like I said, rinse thoroughly with water immediately after eating, before bed, floss or water pick. We'll talk about the two of those. If you use a water pick is also known as a water flosser. So you can take a little, some people who have issues with their gums or cavities, if you take a little, like a cap full of hydrogen peroxide and just put it in the reservoir of the water, just like 2 or 3 times a week, that's going to help as well. And then brush your teeth. If you're using one of these toothpastes, something you can do is just spit out the toothpaste, don't rinse, and then it stays on your teeth. And then when you go to bed, it'll just, the residue from it will stay on there and it'll actually help remineralize. I just kind of put pictures up of everything here. So that's the water flosser. There's the hydrogen peroxide. So like I said, cap full of that in the water, and then you irrigate all your teeth with it. Some people can get away with just using this and not flossing. We'll talk about that. Extra virgin coconut oil for oil pulling. No mouthwash. As we said, it's not helpful. It's harmful to your healthy bacteria. This is the red light toothbrush. It's kind of cool. Has some benefit for the health in the cells in your gums and your mitochondria. Some people who get like bleeding gums and stuff could benefit from a red light toothbrush. This is the toothpaste that Dr. Nischwitz made. It's called More Than a Toothpaste. It's the one he made for his kids, like to solve this problem where there wasn't a good toothpaste out there. So this is the one with xylitol and hydroxyapatite. I've got it available in the clinic. I have a link after. There's a tongue scraper, and then there's this topic that comes up with floss where you see videos online about floss having like some toxic chemicals or plastics or PFAs or Teflon, that kind of stuff. And so you could look for like a silk, like a natural floss if you want. I just have regular floss here. I'm not that obsessed with all those little things, but it's just I'd like to cover it. Professional teeth cleaning, I've gone over this in previous presentations, but might as well repeat it here. So this is what we brought into our clinic now, guided biofilm therapy. So this video will show a little rundown of what that looks like. In my opinion, it's a big improvement over traditional teeth cleaning. So first here, it's showing like the old way of doing things. And that's just the probing, scaling with the ultrasonic can be a little bit damaging to the teeth. And then the scaling, like the scraping, everyone's probably had this feeling, just the scraping of the teeth. And then the polishing. All these things are they can be damaging to the enamel. So this new GBT system kind of solves all that. And to me, it's a much improved experience getting your teeth cleaned. Wherever you're watching this, you should be able to go onto this website here and find a provider. They're all over the place. So this is what the guided biofilm therapy is. So you stain and try to identify where the bacteria are and where the biofilm is building up. And then it's an instructional tool, so you can show the patient where they're missing when they're brushing. And then it uses this powder and water spray to clean off the teeth. So it's much more gentle than the traditional cleaning methods. So, and they feel really, really clean after. Like it's amazing how good your teeth feel after. So there you can see the biofilm that's been stained, and then the air, powder and air, just cleaning it off. Okay. Okay, is flossing necessary? So this was like a big news thing maybe a decade ago where it came out, oh, flossing, this research studies show that flossing isn't beneficial, doesn't make a difference. So let's talk about it. So is flossing necessary? It depends. If we look at, a situation like this where you've got fillings or crowns or whatever already on the teeth, these teeth, the teeth merge up with the filling, and then where they meet, there's a seam. And that seam is where, biofilm, bacteria, food like to get trapped. And if it stays there, that's how cavities can form in these areas. And so the problem is, in between these teeth, a toothbrush is not going to get in there. So floss is actually the most preferred way to get in there and clean along those seams. If you haven't had a cavity before, then you might not need to floss very often, maybe just if you get a piece of food stuck in there. So it just depends. Everyone's individual situation is going to be different. And then when you floss, so I'll just quickly demo here. Most people actually don't know how to floss properly. Most people just wrap the floss around their index finger like this, and then they just kind of just floss like that. The best way is actually to wrap the floss around your middle finger, and then your index finger here and your thumb are both free because you've got the floss pulled between your middle fingers, and you now have way more control. So you pull with your middle fingers, and then you go, and you can either use your index fingers to guide the floss, so like that, or you can use your thumbs, or a combination of both. But it gives you way more control, because flossing, what we want to try not to do is snap it through. If you snap the floss through the contact and it slingshots into the gums, it traumatizes the gums, and it causes bleeding gums and inflamed gums, and it can even cause gum recession, and it can damage the gums around teeth. Okay, so the way to really do it is with this nice controlled method, and you slide it in so it doesn't snap through. You slide it in, and then you wrap it like a C around the tooth, and then you shoe shine, you clean like up and down. Is my mouse showing on the screen here? Yeah, so you're really trying to wrap the floss around each tooth and then clean along the whole surface of it there, and then you would do the same area but the other tooth next to it along that one. So you wrap around one, and then you wrap around the other. Okay, and very gentle, don't traumatize the gums. That's why we like sometimes the water pick. For some people, if they don't have the right flossing technique, the water pick or water flosser is a nice alternative to flossing. And there's just people out there who are like, yeah, to be honest with you, I know you guys tell me I should floss every time I come here, and I'm just not going to do it. So let's save your breath kind of thing. So water flosser is the answer for those people. It's a lot easier. You can even get a portable one like this that you can take in the shower with you. And it's just like that mouth rinsing I was telling you about before, but it goes in between the teeth, or maybe you have a bar or braces or something like that, and it really does a good job cleaning in there. But for oral hygiene, the bottom line is get the shit off of your teeth. that's to end the debate of flossing and what's right and what's not. It's if you're getting the crap off of your teeth, then you should be okay. If there's stuff stuck in there and it's not getting cleaned out, then that's where we see people have a lot of problems with cavities. Okay. All right. This is another strategy called povidone iodine. And it is kind of in that germ theory realm where we're talking about the cavities that are there that produce the acid that can erode teeth. Some families, they do everything right and they still get cavities. This is a colleague and friend of mine, Dr. Cody Kriegel. There's his info. He's in Iowa in the States. He's got a practice like ours too. And he's got 4 kids. His kid got cavities, and so he made this post. I think it's a really good post.
So this is povidone iodine.
You guys can hear it?
Goes by a trade name in dentistry.
Okay.
It's POV1. And it's been used in dentistry for decades, but often forgotten. It is extremely effective at mitigating the bacteria that cause cavities. Extremely effective to the point where it'll mitigate those bacteria like by a lot, and it'll last open for months at a time. So what we do now at our clinic, open is we'll sell these and allow the patient to apply it. We'll tell them how to use it, and then they can take the rest home, and then they would apply it themselves every 3 months or so. It's really, really, really effective as an anti-caries agent. And guess what? Iodine is something that your body needs.
Okay, so it's kind of a, we used to do fluoride and everything. Fluoride inhibits the cavity-causing bacteria, but it's not healthy to the rest of the body. It's quite toxic. So here's a nice alternative for that. I think you can only get it through a dentist. So you'd have to ask, that's the product there, POV1. You'd have to ask the dentist to get it for you. And then you would put it on every 3 months. So there's a lot of, really healthy families too, like the parents who do everything right, like the crunchy moms and stuff, and their kids still get cavities. And so this is a possible solution. It's kind of like it's kind of a Band-Aid treatment, but sometimes that's better than the alternative of your kid needing to get put asleep to get fillings done and stuff like that. So something to be aware of. Last thing here is dry mouth and the whole conversation about saliva. So patients who are on a lot of pharmaceutical medications, they get really dry mouth, and they'll tell you. They're way more at high risk for getting cavities because saliva is nature's toothpaste. And so when you don't make enough of it, the teeth just suffer. They dry out. They don't get remineralized. Mouth breathing, same thing. When you mouth breathe, your mouth dries out. It doesn't get the benefit of that healthy saliva bathing the teeth. Proper hydration is important for just keeping good salivary flow. And then things like xylitol mints, there's biotin, and there's this other thing called BioGaia. These are helpful for people who suffer from dry mouth. So like mints, for example, they just stimulate salivary production. So a xylitol mint, for example, it's going to do 2 things. It's going to stimulate saliva production and also help. Xylitol inhibits the cavity-causing bacteria too. Not so toxic. It's just important to look for good source. It's hard to tell. They can make xylitol from GMO corn too. Do you need to be worried so much about that? I don't know, but just be aware of that. It used to be made from birch bark more commonly, but now you might have to look into how it's being made if you care about that stuff. And then biotin is another product that helps produce saliva. There's cool products out there now. There's this one, Lorene Co. Remineralizing Gum, and it's got hydroxyapatite, it's got xylitol, so it's a more natural chewing gum that helps remineralize your teeth as well. You may have seen these. There's like all kinds of ads for natural gum now, like spruce or pine sap gum, and you can chew it for like 3 days and it doesn't lose its flavor and stuff. So this is kind of a take on that and helps remineralize your teeth at the same time. So this might be something helpful for people. And then this is this product called BioGaia. It's an oral probiotic, and for someone who gets a lot of cavities, you could do one of these treatments. So you do, after brushing, you would take 1 lozenge, so morning and night, for 30 days. And then if you still get cavities, you would do it again after 6 to 12 months. But the thinking here is it gives you a source of the healthy bacteria, which outcompete the cavity causing bacteria. So it's a way to work more with the microbiome rather than just try to kill everything. I've got some videos out there on my social media on like helping this mouth breathing issue. Also, last month's Talkin Teeth was all about that too. So check those out. We've got this sheet that we give to patients on this whole cavity topic. So if you want this handout that we give, we'll post it on the Talkin Teeth website. Yeah, and that's it. So if you want to receive links for future meetings, go to talkinteeth.com. It's the cheapest membership out there for this kind of thing. We do a meeting every month, and it's $40 US a year for the membership. And if you've had treatment with me, you get a year free. And then join our Telegram group. There's the link there. If you want us to send you the link, just send us an email. I'll show you the email on the next page. But the Telegram group's got a lot of helpful resources. So it's like this, and we've got all these different threads and resources, and there's a chat and everything. And that's it. So thanks. Here's contact information for us. You can email the clinic if you need to, info@terraindental.ca. There's the websites, my social media, all that stuff. And thank you. So now we can do Q&A. That was long. Thanks for listening. I tried to get through it quick, but I had a lot to say. So I'm glad to have that one on the books. But yeah, if anyone out there has some questions, we can stay on and answer them. It doesn't have to be related to this topic either. So let's see here. So Jane, why don't you go ahead?
Hi, Dr. J. Thanks. That was really helpful, that presentation.
Oh, good.
I heard rinsing with salt water is good. Is that a good idea?
I don't think it's a bad idea. Yeah, I wouldn't say, I don't see anything wrong with it.
Would it make a difference, like if you recommend rinsing with just plain water after eating, but if you make it salt water, I think I heard that it does kill. No, it changes the pH in your mouth. I think that's the reason why they suggest using it.
Yeah, it would change. It definitely would change the pH. I don't know whether I don't know either way, like if it's like good or bad, or I just like, I'm a fan of keeping things simple. I mean, when we do surgery, we tell people to rinse with salt water and stuff because it's really helpful for wound healing. So like, I don't see a problem with it. If you like it, I wouldn't tell you to not do it. So yeah.
I have one other question. It's not related to this topic.
Yeah.
My 25-year-old son has been recommended by a dentist to have his 2 wisdom teeth removed that haven't come in. 2 of them have come in, and the other 2 are impacted. And they said if he gets them out now while he's still young, even though they're not causing him any problems, it's easier to do than later on in life. Is that something you would recommend?
I don't love that advice. It's very individual. So like the best thing to do is if he already has one of those panoramic x-rays, then you can email us, and then I can give you my opinion on his specific situation, on whether I recommend just leaving them or if maybe it is best to take them out. So like in some cases, yes, like what he was told could be true. I just don't like that argument being used across the board, saying, oh, well, they might become a problem later, so better to deal with them now. It can't be so blanket. It can't be just like a one size fits all.
Okay.
Yeah. Like the reality is and the sad thing that like a lot of times that decision ends up being made because of insurance. It's like, oh, well, you're covered under your parents' insurance right now, so you should get it done, even though you might not need to ever get it done, but it's covered now, so do it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then you're making like a medical decision based on like an insurance thing. And so the thing with wisdom teeth is not no risk. Like it kind of gets just done, it gets done across the board, and everyone does it. It's another one of these things that's like, it's common, but it shouldn't be normal. Like it's been normalized, but yeah, there's risks. Like there's any big intervention, there's risks to it. So, the appropriate conversation needs to be had with each patient saying, okay, in your specific situation, based on how things are presenting, these are the risks. Here's the risks of not doing it. And then with that information, you make the best decision of how to do it, right? But yeah, if you send in the pan, I can give my opinion.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy to help.
Thanks so much.
Okay, and you're welcome. Okay, anybody else?
I have a few questions, if I can talk.
Yeah, just careful what you say.
Okay. I've always found it really difficult to use floss to get, my fingers and stuff up in my mouth. So I've always used a floss handle.
Oh yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah. Love it.
Okay, because
when I was a teenager, that's what I used. And that's not to put it down. That's like, it's like a great, I used to stock them. It's a really good way to get people using floss. I used to stock them. There's a brand called Reach, and they're really nice. I might still have them. I just kind of, I don't know. I forgot. I even forgot about them. Let me see. Go on. What were you gonna say?
Does Terrain Dental carry the Providin iodine?
We have to get. I dug that up putting this presentation together because I remembered it from when I saw my friend's post. But we definitely should, and hopefully it's available in Canada, like everything else. Not everything's available here, but let's see. Okay, let me show you.
I'll be in April for my next appointment.
Okay, but you want the iodine for yourself? Is that what you're thinking?
Yes.
Yeah, you can use it for sure.
Right, with all the cavities I've had for further prevention.
Yep. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
So this is my favorite floss. What do you call it?
Handle.
Yeah. So this is the brand Reach, and then it's got like all these replacement heads and stuff after they get worn out. So that's my favorite one.
Mine doesn't look like that, but I like it. Mine looks like that little red one.
Yeah, like you just thread the floss through yourself.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
And they're great too.
Yeah. I've used it for as long as I can remember. I think before I used it, I didn't floss.
Yeah, just like even with the threader, you want to still push it against one tooth so it makes that C shape.
Yep.
You don't just want to go straight down in the middle. You want to hug
Yep.
each tooth.
Yeah. No, I understand that.
Okay.
And then the Lorette, that remineralizing gum,
Yeah.
is that something we can get online, or are you going to carry it?
I've thought about it. I was gonna order it to try it myself. I always try these things out. Let me see. You can see my screen now?
Yep.
Yeah, like if you want to try it, maybe just order it. Just be careful. Like, I don't know the consistency. So if you've got crowns and you've got like implants or stuff, you could pull a crown off with if it's something
Yikes.
too sticky.
Yep.
So that's why I want to try it
Yeah,
first.
I don't want that.
Yeah. But yeah, like it's this bylorene.com. You know, I was thinking about for teenagers or something like that, that maybe they're not going to be so good with their habits and they're not going to follow all the instructions, but it's just like, here, chew this gum and give yourself a fighting chance. You know?
What do you suggest for when we go out for like the evening and you're out for dinner and then you're going to a show, and then because I've had an early dinner, I have to have a snack at the intermission at the show, and you can't always get to the bath, like you can't wait
you just
30
have
minutes.
water. You just have water, like a bottle of water, and then you just chase your food with water and swish it around, and then you can just swallow. You don't have to spit it out, and then just use water like that to rinse your teeth.
Okay, so you don't suggest any special mints or gum or anything like that?
You could, like even this company, they have a mint. You could try that.
The one you were just looking at?
Yeah. But yeah, like a xylitol mint, it's probably here, like they've got mints.
Okay, because I haven't been able to find a xylitol mint that I would consider.
Yeah, this one's got
clean.
xylitol and hydroxyapatite.
Okay.
So yeah, something like that could be definitely helpful for that for when you're out at the symphony.
Yeah.
I really want to go to I've been like listening to all this classical music lately, and I'm like, I want to go to a symphony.
Have you been to Roy Thompson Hall?
Oh, I must have, but not a long time. So yeah, I want to go. My grandmother's 98, and she's an opera singer, and she can still sing. And
oh my gosh.
Yeah, so me and Kelly are I think we're gonna try to take her there this month.
That would be great.
Cool.
Yeah.
There's a question
in this chat. Yeah. Which is it? My 1-year-old, I'm struggling to brush her. Any help? There's like things you can put on your finger. Like they make these little toothbrushes for babies that you put on your finger, and then you can use your finger and stick it in their mouth. Let's see if I can find it. Is my screen still showing? No, right? I should probably just leave the share on. Okay, baby finger toothbrush. Yeah. I would try something like this. So you just put it on your finger, and then it's better than nothing, right? They used to say just use a face cloth, wet face cloth, and you can wipe the teeth. But you know, there's some nice innovative products out there now.
There's another question.
Got GBT cleaning is okay for 12 and 14-year-old. I want to bring them. Yeah, under I think probably under 7 wouldn't be so good. It's a little bit harder to tolerate if you're not it's a lot going on sometimes. So it's more like if it's really good behaved kids, like, and I don't like that term, but if it's the type of kid who can sit in the dental chair and let them, they let you do what you want on them, like, then they can do it, maybe even a little younger, but it's the ones who won't sit still and kind of won't let you. It's like your 1-year-old won't let you do what you want. It's like there's some 7 and 8-year-olds like that too. And so it probably wouldn't be so good for them. So I think that's good. Hopefully I answered your question, Giselle, is that how I say it? But
Do you have
Jane, you want to ask another?
I have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
What toothpaste do you use? And what would you recommend for kids? Because we were using Tom's and we just learned that apparently there's a lot of lead in Tom's. And
Oh, I know, that's the problem. There's like so many out there that sound good and everything, and then you find out later. And that's going to keep happening. You're going to find something you think is like the solution, and then you're going to find out there's something not good about it later. So you don't want to stress too much about this stuff. Can you see my screen again?
yes.
Okay, so let's go to canadabiohealth.com/shop. Oh, I had it in the slide. Let me pull it up here. Oh yeah, okay, that's what it is. So I have this password protected because I don't know, I'm weird, but if you go shop.canadabiohealth.com, then you get past the password. And then this is where all the stuff that I've brought in is available. So if you go shop all, there's that tooth shield supplement that I told you about. Here's the one this is the one that I was talking about. This is really what I would recommend. It's good for kids. It's even safe to eat. So like a lot of toothpastes, they say like call the poison control if your kid swallows it.
Yeah.
So this one is actually like, it's kind of like a supplement or like a food. So you use it as a toothpaste. And then that's the one where I said spit it out, but don't rinse. And then it stays on the teeth. And then if they swallow it, it's not a problem.
Okay, good. Because my kids literally always swallow it.
Yeah, like
That's why I started being concerned when I heard about the lead thing. I'm like, oh my God, they eat this stuff.
yeah. And same with that's why they say to call the poison control with fluoride toothpaste, because the amount of fluoride in like a big chunk of toothpaste is too much. So, and then you asked me, what do I use? I use that one sometimes. And then I also just use this one. It's called Oromir. I think I have it on my website too. It's funny, I like bring all this stuff in. Here, this is the one, Oromir. This one doesn't have any xylitol, any hydro, so it has no active ingredient. So it's not going to really help prevent cavities. It just kind of gives your mouth a fresh, minty taste, like makes your mouth feel fresh. But it's not for someone who gets cavities. I wouldn't recommend it. I don't get cavities, so I use this.
So I used to get cavities when I was younger, but I never get them anymore.
Yeah, so you probably don't need to worry so much. You could probably use this. It's cheaper.
Okay.
It's $12 versus the other ones. The other one I bring in from Germany, and it's $35.
Okay.
Yeah. But you don't need much. That's the other thing with toothpaste is people put way too much toothpaste on the toothbrush. You'd really need like the size of a pea, like the tiniest amount.
And one last question.
Yeah.
Can you floss too much?
Yeah.
Okay, good to know, because I floss like 5 times a day.
It's the main issue is if you damage the gums.
Okay.
So if you're gentle and you're using the right technique and you slide it in and you don't cause bleeding of the gums, then you're good. Like I don't see a problem with just flossing all the time. That's fine. If you're constantly like traumatizing the gums, creating an opening, like if the gums bleed, for example, now you've got basically bacteria from your mouth can enter into your bloodstream, and you don't want that. It's like you ever heard of leaky gut?
Yeah.
It's like the same thing, but it's leaky gum. So you get like proteins and bacteria and just stuff that should be, it's fine if it's in your mouth. You don't want it in your blood.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Rebecca, why don't we
I think Jane's hand was up before
oh,
mine.
we haven't heard from you yet.
Oh,
Yeah, go ahead. Rebecca.
how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. I had a couple
How
questions.
old's your baby now?
She's 6 months.
Oh, nice.
She's wonderful, but my teeth are not.
No. Are you depleted?
Beyond. Those women you described, I am that person. I went to the dentist last week and it was like I cried.
Oh.
Anyway, I'm in
Oh,
kind of
let me know how
crisis
I can help.
control.
I'm here to help.
I'm in crisis control. Question is xylitol. I've used hydroxyapatite for a long time, and I started looking into xylitol because I was looking into those, the gum actually,
Yeah.
and I came across a bunch of stuff about apparently there's some studies they've done recently with xylitol linked to heart disease and stuff. I just wondered if you know anything about that.
Yeah, like every single one of these things.
I know.
Exactly, right?
I know.
Like
I know.
same with yeah, like you can find something bad about
Anything.
everything, right? And so like what we're talking about here is tools. And it's about trade-offs. So is xylitol, is hydroxyapatite, is it perfect? No, probably nothing's perfect. It's way better than fluoride from a toxicity standpoint. And then what are we trying to mitigate here? Like, it's not like it's use the thing and have no consequence if you don't use it. It's like, well, if you're getting cavities and that's a problem, you know, you've got to weigh both. If you end up needing a root canal or needing a tooth extracted, like you can have some serious issues health-wise with that stuff too. So it's trade-offs. It's like, okay, am I comfortable using this other thing, like let's say xylitol, and yeah, maybe it's not perfect, but I'm using it at least maybe even temporarily as a band-aid thing because I'm having this problem getting cavities, and I'm going to use it as a tool to get to a place where maybe I'm not having this. You have probably never had that problem before, right? So it's like
No.
for you, it could be a tool to use while you're in this kind of depleted state, and then you work on like restoring your minerals and kind of building things back up, and then probably you don't need it again, right? But I wouldn't be so worried about toxicity of xylitol. I like in the conversations I've been involved with about it, the quantities aren't high enough in some of these dental products to actually worry about the toxicity. And then I've heard in other, like the guy, Dr. Garrett Smith, like he's actually a fan of xylitol, and like, he thinks it's good for you. So like you can find a lot of different conflicting information out there. If you don't feel good, like your body tells you, like if you're taking something and you're consistently noticing, hey, I don't feel so good, maybe it's that thing I've been taking. and that sometimes is your best bet.
Yeah, that's a good balanced answer. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I also wanted to ask about the iodine thing.
Yeah.
I was going to ask again what the name of that was and whether I can look into that a
Povidone.
little more.
Let me see if I can just.
I think someone else asked that, but
Okay. let's go. There it is. So POV1.
OV1. Okay.
I don't know if you
Yes.
want to like take a picture of the screen or something.
I wonder if it might be a good part of my crisis control measure.
Yeah, and then you can like, if you're getting cavities between the teeth, you can floss it between the teeth.
Okay.
Like you put it on and then you floss it between the teeth. But yeah, I'm gonna work on getting this in the clinic, and then because you might only be able to get it through a dentist.
What about the BioGaia one that you had up there? Do you sell
We
that
have
one,
that
or
in
can
the
I
office.
just?
Yeah.
And you wouldn't do both of those. You do one or the other.
I don't see a problem with doing both. The BioGaia one is only a 30-day thing, and then this iodine thing is only once every 3 months. So
Mhm.
you could theoretically just like the iodine's not going to last. It's gonna, after a couple of days, like it won't be there. So you could do the iodine and then wait a few days and then start the POV1. I guess what I would just be cautious of is, let's say you're doing the POV1 and you're trying to like change your oral microbiome with it, but then you dump a whole bunch of iodine in there, it might disrupt what you're trying to do with the microbiome. So I would say do the iodine, wait, let's say a week, then do the BioGaia for 30 days. Could be a nice way to do it.
Cool. Thank you.
Maybe I'm just gonna message my brother and stuff. I'm gonna say that we need to get this. All right, Jane, you want to ask a question?
It wasn't a question actually. It's about the povidone iodine. You can actually buy povidone iodine on Amazon. I got it during COVID because it was one of the recommendations for rinsing your mouth out and your nasal passages.
Okay.
COVID. Is it like it's a 10% solution that you can buy on Amazon?
Okay.
And then the recommendation during COVID was to dilute it down to 1% and then gargle with that for killing any viruses. Like when you're out in a crowd or something, you come home. I mean, it might be a solution to get
Yeah, I mean,
iodine.
yeah, that's a good tip for sure. Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, Becky, I'm sorry you're having all that trouble. I don't like to hear that.
I haven't had a cavity in 25 years.
Yeah.
And I went to the dentist and she said she found 9.
Wow. Well, if you want me to look at the x-rays to, like, if you want a second opinion, let me know, because they might be small enough that you don't need to fill them.
I didn't think I had time to get into all that with you here, but I
Okay.
would like to talk about other options because it's
Yeah.
just so extreme from
Yeah.
where I was. And yeah,
Yeah,
anyways,
let me see the x-rays and then
or maybe I'll just come see you.
sure, but I'll still want to see your x-rays.
Okay.
So just say
I'll
one
message
of my good friends is a dentist and I just want to get his opinion on my x-rays because I'm pretty traumatized. And then,
Yeah, a little.
but yeah, get the x-rays and then we'll start from there.
Okay, I'll message you. Thank you.
Like, do they say you need them all filled?
So I went to a new dentist who is supposed to be holistic. What a joke that is. Sorry.
No, you know how often I see patients who've seen like 4 or 5 like biological dentists and they like it, you can sniff them out so fast, right? It's just like,
I
yeah.
I honestly didn't do a ton of research. It was that it's a place in Aurora, and I guess there's like 5 dentists there, and someone I knew went there and she had a great experience. And so I was like, I need to go to the dentist. My original dentist is really far away, so I need to find somebody else. And I was like, well, maybe I'll just give this a try. And I maybe didn't book with the right dentist. And anyways, she seemed very conventional and she didn't have a lot of ideas or options about anything. And she basically was like, we just got to fill them. make another appointment. And I don't
Right.
know. There wasn't much of a conversation because she didn't seem to have a lot of information. I found out a lot more in this presentation than I did talking to her, that's for sure.
But and in all honesty, like that's the problem in a general dentistry practice, even ours. You just don't always have time to have these. You need to
Yeah.
have long conversations, and we do our best. But just like if you're there for your cleaning and you have 5 minutes to see the dentist, it's like, how much can you really talk about? That's what inspired me to do this talking teeth thing, because it's like, hey, let's have these conversations. I'll dive into these topics. I'll record them so that then when we're in the office with somebody and having this conversation, I can say, here, let me send you the recording. I did 2 hours on this whole topic, right? And
Mhm.
I just think we can leverage this kind of technology now to like just be better and provide better care. So what did you say? You may have said something that I wanted to comment on, but
Oh, getting them filled or not?
yeah, but that's more just if I see your x-rays, then I can tell you if I agree or not. And yeah, if you want to come see us for sure.
Thanks.
Okay. So Giselle asked any supplements for kids. Generally, like, so like that tooth shield one that I showed you, like what you do with kids is you cut the dose in half. That's a general rule of thumb. So if the bottle, like that tooth shield one I showed you, if it says take 2 caps daily, that's for adults. So kids could have 1. Again, I wouldn't just say everyone's kids need to take it, but it's something that if your kid gets cavities, then that's something you can do to try to cover some of the bases. And again, like the D3K2, I'm back and forth on it. I don't know if everyone should be giving their kids D3K2 supplements, but let's say you chose to, you do 1 drop per year. So like per day. So like a 5-year-old can do 5 drops. A 6-year-old can do 6 drops. So that's if they were really low and they're showing signs of this like really low vitamin D, and there's no chance of them getting out in the sun and any of that kind of thing. That's how you would do that. And then, just looking at natural mineral sources like the mineral water, this healthy salt, yeah. Beef, raise your kids on beef. That's what I would tell you. That's like the number one supplement is grass-fed beef. Okay. And then what else? Was there another one? Any supplements for kids? You have no idea how many clinics I went through. Yeah, I was going to ask Susan that. Susan, didn't you go to, how many clinics did you go to, Susan?
In my life?
Yeah, but how many biological dentists did you go to try to see?
Oh, no, I've only seen you.
Oh,
You and
okay,
Robert.
okay.
You guys
Okay.
are my first, and you guys are the best, and I'm never going anywhere else.
You and Robert.
You and Robert, that's
I
it.
found them coming from
And
Hamilton.
great
Yeah.
experiences with both of you. So for Rebecca, I got the BioGaia on Amazon.
Oh, okay.
So
Because
it
Rob
wasn't hard.
recommended that too, right?
Yeah, Rob recommended it. He even gave me a 10% off coupon. I couldn't figure out how to use it, so I called Amazon and they had to walk me through it. They make it so complicated so you can never use a coupon. But regardless, I got a 3-month supply, and I did the 2 caps a day, which took up basically 60 tablets, and I still have 1 bottle left, which Rob wants me to use in 6 months from when I
Nice.
finished the last one, and just once a day instead of twice a day.
Perfect.
Thank you.
So, and I still have a couple of other questions. So
Okay. Yeah,
right
go for
now,
it.
I'm waiting. I know we're supposed to wait 30 minutes after eating before brushing our teeth. What about using the water pick or flossing? Do we wait 30 minutes or can we do it right away after eating?
Well, I think it's okay to do. It's okay because it's kind of like rinsing.
Because right now I'm eating, and because food gets stuck between my teeth with what I eat, I
Yeah.
rinse my mouth, I take the little soft picks and I get the little bits out. And then 30
That's fine.
minutes later, I water pick and brush.
That's fine. It's the scrubbing from a toothbrush that strips away the enamel.
Okay. And would
Yeah.
you ever want to water pick and floss at the, like,
Sure.
back to back?
Yeah, sure.
That'd be
You're-
okay?
Yeah, if you have the time and you want to spend this, perfect. Yeah.
And oh yeah, my last question is your recommendation about doing the coconut oil pull and the tongue scraping first thing in the morning, and then don't brush your teeth until after you eat breakfast. But since I don't eat breakfast till like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, both Nicole and Robert thought that was a little late in the day before brushing my teeth for the first time.
I disagree with them.
You disagree?
Yeah, because you brushed your teeth at night.
Yep.
Before you went to bed.
Yep.
And then you wake up, you haven't eaten anything, so there's nothing to brush.
Okay.
It's not the purpose of brushing is to remove food debris from your teeth.
Okay. So
Right.
don't need to brush till after I've eaten.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with that.
Okay, and there's no safe mouthwashes or mouth rinses on the market, like all natural ones, just to kind of make your mouth feel like minty fresh if you've been out somewhere and you can't brush properly, or
You're gonna use the mints.
just gonna use the mints. Okay. So no mouthwash
what's
whatsoever
something-
then.
Sorry to interrupt, but there are these essential oil mints that doTERRA sells. I don't know if you're familiar with that company. And they're safe to consume. And they're these little balls of essential oil. And apparently it's very high quality. I haven't done any like deep research into this, but if you're
Yeah,
okay with
I
essential
just
oils,
wouldn't-
they're
I
actually
just wouldn't
really nice.
overdo it. I wouldn't overdo it that because essential oils can still be like
Strong.
detrimental to bacteria. They're strong, and so they can be kind of negative to the healthy bacteria.
Yeah, I guess if like you were just in a pinch.
Yeah, but I would go with like get a good, like she's gonna get those xylitol hydroxyapatite mints, and that would be my go-to to get fresh breath.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Jason asked, do fillings get old and need to be replaced? Sometimes, yeah. Like, there's no general rule. Like, there's no like expiry date or something. A lot depends on like the oral environment and also like how well was the filling done. Those margins we talked about, are they really smooth and almost not noticeable, or are they kind of bulky and they get stained really easily and start to leak?
Okay, I
So-
was just curious because my dentist has replaced a couple of mine, but he also very rarely suggests drilling and things like that. Like
Yeah.
I do really trust him, but I also had a dentist in the past that I trusted and it turned out not to be the right situation for me. But so I just
Yeah.
wanted to know that I'm not following the wrong path once again, you know? But okay.
Right.
But I
My-
do trust him. He seems very good and like he doesn't drill unless it seems very necessary. But I just wanted to know that is a thing that possibly happens.
Yeah, for sure. What's nice is if like we've got these intraoral cameras, so it's just like it's like a camera on a stick, and then we put it in the mouth and we take a picture of the tooth that we're noticing has an issue, and then we show it to the patient. And we say, okay, here's the filling. You can see there's some staining, some leaking happening around here, or there's a crack here, or whatever, rather than just you having to take my word for it, right? So that's kind of one of the principles of like always, if you can, always show the patient something rather than just tell them. And there's even cool AI programs now that will read x-rays and show you if there's a cavity on an x-ray. So it's like a AI second opinion. So that's kind of cool too. You can be like, here, I see a cavity here, and look, the AI sees it too.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And it highlights it, it like outlines it in like a bright color, and so you can it's good for showing patients.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's go till 9 o'clock and then we'll call it a night because I gotta work tomorrow. So, do you carry ceramic fillings? So, we do something called CEREC. So CEREC is in-office CAD/CAM ceramic milling technology. So you can make any shape on a tooth and then you scan it with the computer, design your crown or your filling or inlay or onlay or whatever, and then you mill it and then you can put it in. That being said, so like we can do it. We don't do it so much. We prefer to use composite or composite filling material for smaller fillings, and we use a BPA free composite filling material. So it's like a non-toxic or much less toxic filling material. We just find the results are better when we use that material and they last longer than when we do ceramic fillings. There's some challenges in the process that make the ceramic fillings not as predictable. And so we typically, like if it was my family, then I would do it the way we do it. What about ozone when following biomimetic protocols? Yeah, like ozone can be helpful. Ozone is just a disinfectant. So if you have some sort of contamination, then you can use ozone. So if you've got like the nerve of the tooth is really close to being exposed or something like that, and you're worried about bacteria getting in there, ozone can help with that. Then the most helpful is after tooth extraction. So taking a tooth out, cleaning it out physically, and then you use ozone to disinfect the socket. So yeah. Okay, I don't know if there's anyone else. No problem, Jason. Thanks for coming. Hope to see you soon. You're welcome. Giselle, I don't know, is that your name? I don't know. Okay, anybody else? No, I guess I'll stop the recording. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Jillian.